Should the Bible be taught in schools? All right, so the Bible, the Word of God, that would get the left, or I guess not even the left, the non-believers, the humanists, shaking in their boots, and they were able to accomplish that. I don't know, in this century, getting God, getting the Bible removed from schools. Obviously, in this country, public school system was set up to teach the Bible. If it's any wonder that where we had all that prosperity and America was a great nation and it thrived, I would think because majority of its citizens were Bible believing. Even if they weren't, and we all struggle and we all sin, they knew what was in the Bible. So we had this baseline of knowledge, this common heritage, for a decent while. And I get why, as soon as a lot of people would not believe, you got a lot of prosperity in the world, you look around, you're like, why do I need God? I can do fine on my own. I've discussed that in other podcasts, that man is going to go to convenience, and when they don't need to lean on a crutch, when they feel like they don't need anything else and they look around, then they can be successful. Why do I need to lean on anything else? I can rely on my own understanding, my own knowledge to get through in this world. So they bail on it, and then it becomes an insult to them because it convicts them of their sins. So the Word of God in schools is a threat to people that don't believe, because you're teaching your youth. That's the most impressionable. And I spoke in another podcast that the youth is my passion. That's where I think you can help the most, because they have so much more life to give, and they're impressionable, and they're looking for answers. I'm part of an after-school Youth for Christ group where we let kids come in and we feed them and we talk to them about God, but it's student-led, so they kind of set the agenda, and we're there if they want to ask questions. At any given time, there's usually up to 3 adults in there. There's myself, a Youth for Christ leader, and usually a local pastor or a parent who's kind of with it in the Word. Is all kind of hanging out. It's a nice little group, and we get about 10 to 15, maybe sometimes less, kids in there. But it's amazing that they're hungry. They're looking for answers. We had like an hour session with one kid just answering questions. From an intellectual standpoint, we've also had believers who are very ill-informed about things like separation of church and state, and freedom of religion, not freedom from religion, things like that. So our kids that we are getting to come to a Christian youth group in a public school still don't know what's going on with like our American history, with Bible. So yeah, there's definitely a need for it, for Bible literacy, if you're going to look at this Christian group. What about the school as a whole? What about the public school system across America? If we look at the Bible as a historical document only, and we take away any kind of faith aspects, and maybe people that don't believe in God want to explain away as a hoax or a mystery or fake, or just a story, and that it's not needed, it has no bearing on your life, you don't need to follow what it says. So if we say, okay, fine, and you can have that stance, we know if it gets in there, the Word of God will separate bone from marrow, and it will do its work. It'll change people's hearts. It is a living document. We know once it's in the door, it's as good as gold, and we teach it. It'll do its thing. We don't need to press faith. We don't need to tie students' grades to profession of faith, anything like that. No. And I'm even up for teaching it alongside other world religions to show the errancy in theirs. Basically, that'd be fantastic. Human secularism, Muslim, Islam, Judaism, Eastern religions. Let's bring it on. Let's go head to head. Teach it all. But as a historical document, if we were to test any other book on the number of ancient manuscripts and the number of translations and the number of credentials that we judge other books by, the Bible's by far and away number one. And it's the best-selling book of all time. And it has a ton of cultural relevance for our country. So I think it's unwise. I don't even think it's like, oh, should we? Because I'm a Christian, I wanted to get it in, yeah. No, I think it's unwise to take it out of there. It's got so much tie into being a citizen of the world, being a citizen of this country. We should teach Bible literacy. And what can we teach? Do you believe in God? No, you're not going to ask that on a multiple choice question. You're going to ask things. What do these religions believe? What do they believe about Moses? What do they believe about Noah? About Adam and Eve? What do they believe that God said on the Sermon on the Mount? You ask these questions that are from the Testament. You can go to Muhammad's stuff. What did he say he believed? You read the books, and then that would give kids so much more understanding too about geopolitical issues. Why there's such divisions between the Middle East and Israelis? Why did people leave Europe to become free under the tyranny rule of England with their church and state religion tied together? That would be so much more clear. We have so many cultural references in this country to God. God bless America, one nation under God, indivisible. Let's bring it back. From a statistical standpoint and a world population standpoint, Tim Keller talks about this a lot. Albert Mohler talks about population growth. There's a great book, America Alone, by Mark Stein, that talks about population growth. We are declining as a percentage in America of faith. We're some loose numbers. We're like 75% of the people in this country claim Christianity. And if you ask me, it's probably lower, but it's easy to claim Christianity and you're an American. Oh yeah, I'm American, I'm Christian. It goes hand in hand. Some people think. But Christianity is declining here. It's almost dead in Europe. Church attendance is single digits. But it's exploding in developing nations. Sub-Saharan Africa, going gangbusters. Eastern Asia, China's having some explosions under their persecution. Some South American countries are growing as well. And both those speakers, Mohler and Keller, I referenced, talk about that in recent podcasts. I'll try to link underneath here. But America is declining. Europe is on the fast decline. Islam is growing. A lot of that has to do with birth rates. Europe's birth rate is dismal. Japan's birth rate is dismal. They're having I think it's sometimes less than a person per couple, less than a baby per couple is the average rate. Muslims' growth is because it's kind of the opposite. They're exploding because they're having kids like crazy. Might be all the sex slave stuff going on over there. I don't know what's going on with those people. Their religion is a religion of fear. That's why they don't speak up against each other, because it's all fear-based. You don't have a loving God. You have a works-based religion, and you're always, you have a route that can get you claimed into heaven, and it's through terrorism, it's through martyrdom. So you can get radicalized quick, radicalized, is that a word? Radicalized easily in that religion, because you lay the foundation that you have to prove yourself, and you have to pray 5 times a day, you have to do all these trips to Mecca, and then, okay, well, this is tough, life is tough, I can go become a jihadist, and most terrorisms come from well-to-do families. Sometimes they're under duress because another terrorist is forcing them to do something, but it's usually these people that are high up that are very learned in their religion, and I would think to assume that delusions, okay, you can't win at this game, and I'm trapped, that's all I know, I'm going to kind of take this to its end game, end extreme, and then that's my little theory on terrorism. But yeah, I'd love a class, let's at least start as an elective, so people interested in these questions that are showing up in my groups can take these elective classes and learn world religions, world views, geopolitics kind of situations. What are the traditional conservative stances in America? What are the traditional liberal stances in America? Is there correlations between religion, location, things like that? So we have some knowledge. Our voter base is so uninformed. And it'd be interesting. I don't know how you would certify teachers in there. I don't think it'd be fair to ask them if they had a faith background. If someone just wanted to teach religion and worldviews, that'd be great. I'm sure you get slants left and right based on people's faith, but that's something I'm willing to take as long as it gets into schools. So, should the Bible be taught in schools from a historical standpoint? Yes. From forcing grades tied to a faith expression? No. I hope you agree.